Tribe of Mentors, Short Life Advice from the Best in the World by Timothy Ferriss. Picture this, you've just hit 40. From the outside looking in, your life is the definition of success. That book everyone rejected 27 times? It's now celebrating 10 years as a worldwide phenomenon. You're living the dream most people only fantasize about. But here's the thing about dreams. Sometimes you wake up from them in a cold sweat. Within just a few weeks, several close friends pass away. You find yourself on stage, confessing to a room full of strangers about that dark moment in college when you nearly ended everything. And standing at this crossroads, a terrifying realization hits you. There's no map for what comes next. All those goals you've been grinding toward, all those mountains you've been climbing, were they actually yours, or just the ones you thought you were supposed to want? This isn't some hypothetical scenario. This was Timothy Ferriss's reality in 2017. Successful? Absolutely. Lost? Completely. His mind was spinning with questions that kept him up at night. How do I stop being so hard on myself? How do I cut through all the noise and focus on what actually matters? How do I hit the reset button on everything? My priorities, my purpose, my entire direction. Most of us would freeze when facing that kind of existential crisis. We'd wrestle with these demons alone, probably at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling. But Ferriss asked himself something brilliantly simple. What would this look like if it were easy? That single question changed everything. Why struggle to find all the answers himself when he could assemble his own dream team of advisors, a tribe of mentors, and just ask them directly? So he crafted 11 carefully designed questions and sent them to over 100 of the world's most fascinating, accomplished people. We're not just talking about business moguls here. We're talking legendary artists, elite athletes, groundbreaking scientists, and special operations commanders. People like actor Terry Crews, activist Ayaan Hirsi Ali, music producer Rick Rubin, and skateboarding legend Tony Hawk. He asked for their secrets, their most valuable failures, their daily rituals, and the hard-earned wisdom they'd stake their reputation on. The result is Tribe of Mentors, and what you're about to discover is a collection of tools and philosophies that can help you tackle any challenge, answer any burning question, and design a life that's actually yours. This isn't just advice. It's a playbook crafted by people who've reached the summit of their fields and are willing to share the route. Let's dive in. Tribe of Mentors starts with a fundamental truth that most of us overlook. The quality of your life flows directly from the quality of questions you ask yourself. As Ferriss puts it, life punishes the vague wish and rewards the specific ask. Ask fuzzy questions, get fuzzy answers, live a fuzzy life. But ask razor-sharp questions, you get clarity that cuts through everything. This entire book rests on 11 such questions, each one designed to unlock a different vault of wisdom. Ferriss didn't just throw darts at a board here. He spent weeks testing these questions, refining them, even obsessing over the sequence. He knew that great questions asked in the wrong order produce terrible responses. He started with lighter, concrete questions to warm people up before diving into the deeper philosophical waters. So, what were these master keys? Let's look at a few, because understanding the questions is half the battle. First up, what is the book you've given most as a gift and why? Brilliant, right? Asking for someone's favorite book? That's paralyzing. But asking which book they've gifted the most. That reveals something that's proven valuable, not just once but multiple times, to different people. It's been field tested. Next, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in recent memory? This question is genius because it's not about grand, expensive solutions. It's about the small, accessible tools that can improve your daily life right now. Then he gets to the heart of the matter with questions like, How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure? This is where the gold is buried. Every single successful person in this book has a story about a crushing failure that became the foundation for their greatest triumph. And here's a personal favorite. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say? This question forces people to distill their entire life philosophy into a handful of words. Their ultimate message to the world. The remaining questions explore everything from unusual habits and worthwhile investments to handling overwhelm and the art of saying no. Together, they form a complete operating system for a meaningful life. What makes this book truly magical isn't just the individual answers. It's the patterns that emerge when you see them all together. You start to recognize the shared DNA of greatness. So let's explore some of those powerful, recurring themes. Theme 1. The Gift of Failure. One of the most eye-opening lessons in Tribe of Mentors is a complete reframe of what failure actually means. For nearly every mentor in this book, failure wasn't just a stepping stone to success. It was the entire staircase. Take Susan Cain, celebrated author of Quiet. For years, she was a corporate lawyer on Wall Street, steadily climbing toward partner. By every external measure, she was crushing it. But inside, she was conflicted. She wasn't living her truth. One day, the senior partner walked into her office and delivered the news. She wouldn't be making partner on schedule. She burst into tears right there. It felt like the end of the world. She took a leave of absence that very afternoon, with absolutely no plan for what came next. But then something almost cinematic happened. While cycling through Central Park, heartbroken and lost, she remembered something she'd buried long ago. She'd always wanted to be a writer. That same evening, she started writing. The next day, she signed up for a writing class. And the moment she walked into that classroom, she knew she'd finally found home. She reflects, if I had succeeded at making partner right on schedule, I might still be miserably negotiating corporate transactions 16 hours a day. That devastating failure was the greatest gift of her career. It freed her to become who she was always meant to be. This pattern repeats throughout the book. Author Simon Nosrat, whose book Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat became a massive bestseller, talks about botching 2 opportunities to co-write cookbooks early in her career. Those mistakes haunted her, but she kept going. And 17 years later, she wrote the book she'd always dreamed of. Or consider Terry Crews, the actor and former NFL player. He shares an incredible story from his senior year of high school. His basketball team was in the district final, expected to win easily. With only 5 seconds left, they were down by 2 points. Terry stole the ball and desperately dribbled the length of the court for the game-winning shot he missed. He collapsed on the floor, convinced his life was over. The next day at school, he was ridiculed. His coach publicly blamed him. A dark cloud of failure hung over everything. But a few days later, sitting alone in his room, a different thought broke through the darkness. I took the shot. Everything shifted in that moment. He realized that when the game was on the line, he didn't leave his future in someone else's hands. He took his shot. He says, I knew from then on that I could have the courage to fail on my own terms. That failure gave him the courage that's defined his entire career. What all these stories teach us is that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a fundamental part of the process. It's the universe's way of course-correcting you, pushing you toward your true path. As photographer Brandon Stanton, creator of Humans of New York, beautifully puts it, sometimes you need to allow life to save you from getting what you want. Theme 2. The Power of Small, Simple Tools. In our modern world, we're conditioned to believe that big problems require big, complicated, expensive solutions. But Tribe of Mentors reveals a different truth. Profound changes often come from the smallest, simplest investments. That's the wisdom behind asking, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life? The answers are wonderfully diverse and practical. Samin Nosrat mentions a mushroom immunity supplement that keeps her healthy despite constant travel. Comedian Whitney Cummings talks about a weighted blanket that instantly calms her anxiety and helps her sleep. Legendary powerlifter Mark Bell tells a story about a $2 pair of Groucho Marx glasses that taught him a powerful lesson about marketing and standing out from the crowd. But the real lesson isn't about the specific items. It's about the mindset. It's realizing you don't need to wait for a windfall or perfect circumstances to improve your life. You can start today with something small. Author and podcaster Debbie Millman talks about her Apple Pencil. She does most of her artwork by hand, and this simple tool, which feels just like a real pencil, completely transformed the way she works. It's a small thing, but it unlocked an entirely new level of creative flow. My personal favorite comes from legendary music producer Rick Rubin. He talks about a simple nasal irrigator, basically a big plastic syringe for cleaning out your sinuses. He says it not only clears mucus, but actually shrinks the inner lining of your sinuses, improving your breathing capacity. It even solved his problems with equalizing pressure on airplanes. Think about that. A simple, inexpensive tool solved a chronic problem and improved his quality of life every single day. This is a recurring theme. The mentors in this book aren't looking for magic bullets. They're masters of the small, consistent, daily practices that compound into a remarkable life. They understand that a $10 journal, a comfortable neck pillow for travel, or a simple app can be more life-changing than a new car or fancy watch. It's a powerful reminder that the tools for a better life are often already within reach, if we just have the wisdom to see them. Theme 3, the Library of Wisdom. If there's one habit that unites nearly every high performer in this book, it's this. They're voracious readers. They understand that books are the ultimate mentors. For the price of a few cups of coffee, you get access to distilled wisdom from the greatest minds in history. When asked which books they've gifted most, a few titles appear over and over again, like echoes in a canyon. The most frequently mentioned is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's a short, powerful book written by a psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps. Frankl argues that we can't avoid suffering, but we can choose how to cope with it, and that the primary drive in life isn't pleasure. It's discovering and pursuing what we personally find meaningful. People like Terry Crews, Tony Robbins, and Jimmy Fallon all mention this book as profoundly influential. As legendary performance psychologist Jim Lower says, Frankl's ability to feel compassion even for cruel prison guards, as he himself inched closer to death, is a lesson in the boundless capacity of the human spirit. It's a book that provides a powerful anchor in life's storms. Another frequently mentioned book is The Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. This book makes a compelling, data-driven case that the modern world, despite all its problems, is far better than it's ever been in human history. It's an antidote to the relentless negativity of the news cycle. As philanthropist John Arnold explains, optimism is a circular trait. The more optimistic society is about the future, the better the future becomes. This book serves as a powerful reminder of how far we've come and how much potential we have. Then there are the more eclectic choices that offer glimpses into the unique minds of these mentors. Screenwriter Brian Koppelman, creator of Billions, Gifts, Haruki Murakami's What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. He says it's the single best distillation of the focus and commitment it takes to be a great artist. Chess prodigy and learning expert Josh Waitzkin recommends the Tao Te Ching, a classic of ancient Chinese philosophy. He says it inspired his study of softness and receptivity as a counterpoint to my mad passions. It taught him the power of yielding, of empty space, a lesson that won him a world championship in martial arts. What this teaches us is that the right book, at the right time, can change the entire trajectory of a life. The mentors in this book don't just read for entertainment, they read for transformation. They're building a latticework of mental models, borrowing the best ideas from every field, and using them to navigate life's complexities. They're essentially building their own tribe of mentors, one book at a time. Theme 4. The Gentle Art of Saying No. Here's a simple, uncomfortable truth. If you're not good at saying no, you'll never have the time or energy to say yes to what truly matters. Every single person in this book, without exception, has mastered the art of the polite but firm no. As investor Naval Ravikant says, I say no to nearly everything. He has no time for short-term commitments, dinners with people he won't see again, tedious ceremonies to please tedious people. He aspires to only work with people he can work with forever. This isn't about being rude or selfish. It's about being radically protective of your most precious, non-renewable resource, your time. Debbie Millman has a brilliant way of framing this. Her billboard message to the world would be, busy is a decision. She argues that when we say we're too busy, what we're really saying is, it's not important enough. We do the things we want to do, period. If you want to do something, you make the time. If you don't, you claim you're busy. It's a powerful reframe that forces you to take ownership of your schedule. But how do you actually do it? How do you say no without crushing guilt or damaging relationships? Dustin Moskovitz, co-founder of Facebook and Asana, offers tactical insight. He says the first no is by far the easiest and cleanest. It's tempting to hedge, to say maybe, or agree to a scaled-down version of a request. But as soon as you crack that door open, you've almost guaranteed you'll have to say no again in the future. You've established yourself as interested. A clean, quick no at the beginning saves everyone time and discomfort. Another powerful strategy comes from Drew Houston, founder of Dropbox. He thinks of his time as a jar. His priorities are big rocks, and everything else is pebbles or sand. If you fill the jar with sand and pebbles first, the big rocks will never fit. You must put the rocks in first. He even has an email label called OPP, Other People's Priorities. It's a simple reminder to think carefully before letting other people's rocks fill his jar. Even the polite decline emails included in the book are masterclasses in grace and firmness. Illustrator Wendy McNaughton, declining to be in this very book, explained she was in a period of creative rest and needed to protect that space. She wrote, as capital S stupid as it is for me professionally not to do it, I'm going to have to say thank you, but I gotta pass. It's honest, respectful, and unshakable. The ultimate lesson is that saying no is a muscle. It feels uncomfortable at first, but the more you practice it, the stronger you get, and the more freedom you create for the things you were put on this earth to do. Theme 5. The Compass for Chaos. What do you do when you feel overwhelmed, unfocused, or lost? In a world of constant distraction and endless demands, this might be the most critical question of all. The mentors and tribe of mentors don't have a single answer, but they have a stunning array of strategies for finding their way back to center. For many, the answer is physical. Comedian Aisha Tyler stops everything and takes a long walk, alone. She finds that solitude and movement allow solutions to bubble to the surface. Country music star Tim McGraw heads to his gym. He says physical activity clears his mind and helps him refocus on what needs doing next. Josh Waitzkin, the master of learning, says, "I change my physiology." He might surf, do an intense kettlebell workout, or take an ice plunge. He knows a simple truth. It's remarkable how the mind follows the body. For others, the solution is more mental. When Matthew Frazier, the fittest man on earth, feels overwhelmed, he makes lists. He finds that getting swirling thoughts down on paper brings organization to chaos and transforms big, daunting problems into small, actionable steps. He even did this after a devastating loss at the CrossFit Games, listing every weakness and then working backward to create a plan to fix each one. Mike Maples Jr., a legendary venture capitalist, uses a powerful technique called the 5 whys. When a problem arises, instead of jumping to conclusions or assigning blame, he asks, "Why?" 5 times to get to the root cause. For example, why did we miss our sales target? Because we made fewer sales calls. Why? Because we had fewer leads. Why? Because we were short-staffed. Why? Because we didn't plan for vacations. This simple process turns off the emotional, finger-pointing part of the brain and engages the rational, problem-solving part. As he says, ego is about who's right. Truth is about what's right. But perhaps the most profound strategy comes from comedian and entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk. When he feels overwhelmed, he does something startling. He says, "I pretend that my family has died in a horrific accident." He goes to a very dark place and truly feels that pain. And then, he realizes that whatever problem he's facing, losing a client, missing an opportunity, isn't even in the same universe as that kind of loss. In an instant, he becomes grateful. This is the ultimate perspective shift. It's a reminder that most of our overwhelm is a luxury. Most of our problems aren't true problems. Finding a way to reconnect with what's truly important is the fastest path back to clarity and focus. Whether through a walk in nature, a written list, a hard workout, or a moment of profound gratitude, these mentors teach us that we all have a compass for the chaos. We just have to remember to use it. Theme 6. Your message to the world. If you had one message to share with millions of people, what would it be? The billboard question is a powerful tool for distillation. It forces you to find the one principle, the one truth that sits at the very center of your life. The answers in Tribe of Mentors create a beautiful tapestry of human values. Bozoma St. John, a top executive at Uber and Apple, would post the famous quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." She says, "We spend far too much time complaining about the way things are, and forget that we have the power to change anything and everything." It's a call to action, a reminder of our own agency. Naval Ravikant's billboard would be a warning. Desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. It's a profound insight into the nature of human suffering. He's not saying we shouldn't have desires, but that we should pick our big ones carefully and let go of the small ones that keep us in constant dissatisfaction. Legendary wrestling coach Dan Gable's message is simple and powerful. The best defense is a good offense. It's a philosophy of proactivity, of taking control of your destiny, rather than waiting for life to happen to you. And then there's the beautiful, simple message from poker champion Liv Bory. The actual consequences of your actions matter far more than your actions themselves. This is a call for consequentialist thinking. It asks us to look beyond our intentions and ideologies and focus on the real-world impact of what we do. It's about results, not just righteousness. What's so powerful about these billboard messages is they're not just clever quotes. They're the operating principles these incredible people live by every single day. They're the North Stars that guide their decisions, their actions, and their lives. And they invite us to ask the same question of ourselves. If you had a billboard, what would it say? What's the one truth you'd share with the world? The process of answering that question is a journey of discovery in itself. This book is a treasure chest. It's filled with hundreds of gems like these, each one a tool for building a better, more intentional life. It's a reminder that the people we look up to aren't superheroes. They're flawed, imperfect human beings who've learned to master themselves. They've turned their weaknesses into strengths, their failures into fuel, and their questions into a way of life. And in sharing their journeys, they give us a map. Not a map to become them, but to become the best possible version of ourselves. As we wrap up our journey through Tribe of Mentors, I want to leave you with a final thought. This book isn't meant to be a passive experience. It's a call to action. It's an invitation to become an active participant in designing your own life. The most powerful meta lesson here is that you don't have to figure it all out on your own. The path has been walked before. The challenges you face, the questions keeping you up at night. Someone, somewhere, has faced them and found a way through. Your job isn't to reinvent the wheel, but to find the best wheels already invented and adapt them to your own vehicle. Tim Ferriss describes this beautifully in his closing thoughts. He tells the story of learning to play tennis as an adult. He was in tremendous pain, his elbow was shot, and every ball was hitting the net. He was ready to quit. His coach then gave him a simple instruction. Stop focusing on the target, on where you want the ball to go. Instead, focus only on what's directly in front of you, the point of impact, the split second where ball meets racket. The moment he did that, everything changed. The pain lessened. The balls started going where he wanted them to go, without him even thinking about it. The game took care of itself. This is a powerful metaphor for life. We often get overwhelmed by our big 10-year goals, our grand visions of success. We fixate on the target, and in doing so, we lose our connection to the present moment, to the single step right in front of us. The wisdom of Tribe of Mentors is the wisdom of the point of impact. It teaches us to focus on the small, manageable actions we can take today. Design a great day. Have one uncomfortable conversation. Read one chapter of a challenging book. Say no to one thing that drains your energy. Ask one better question. As author Soman Chanani says, make sure you have something every day you're looking forward to. It'll keep your soul hungry to create more of these moments. The secret to a great life isn't a single, grand revelation. It's the accumulation of thousands of small, conscious choices, repeated day after day. It's the habit of asking, what would this look like if it were easy? It's the courage to embrace failure not as an endpoint, but as a redirection. And it's the wisdom to know that, as Tim Ferriss concludes, the secret to winning any game lies in not trying too hard. So as you move forward from here, I encourage you to pick one idea, one habit, one question from our conversation today and apply it to your own life. Don't try to do everything at once. Just focus on your own point of impact. Find your one small step and take it, because that's how a masterpiece of a life is built. That was a summary of Tribe of Mentors by Timothy Ferriss. We've explored some of the incredible wisdom packed into these pages, but I'll be completely honest with you. A summary is just a map. The real treasure is found when you make the journey yourself. The true power of this book isn't just in the advice, It's in the stories, the personalities, and the quiet moments when a single phrase connects with you in a way you never expected. This summary is your starting point, a way to see if this journey is right for you. If any of the ideas we discussed today sparked something inside you, I wholeheartedly encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about collecting information. It's about having a conversation with some of the wisest minds of our time, and that conversation has the power to change everything. A link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue exploring the world's most transformative books. We're on this journey of learning and growth together, and I look forward to seeing you in our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf. Thank you for listening.